What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Tony D2 Wild, checking in once again, back in the building today, guys, with an overview and unboxing of the brand new KRISS Vector Gen 3 45 ACP. All right, guys, so we have in the KRISS Vector. This is in 45 ACP, and this is the Gen 3 version. We're gonna be doing an unboxing and overview. We're gonna save the detailed review is coming in the very near future. Now, I'm a big fan of the KRISS Vector. I actually own a Gen 2. It's actually my first ever PCC. It has since been, of course, SBR'd. That one in particular is in 9mm, and the Gen 2 featured 9mm, 10mm, 40 Smith & Wesson, and 45 ACP. The Gen 3 version that just came out features 9mm, 45 ACP, and 10mm as well. I'm not 100% on the 40 Smith & Wesson. They might have discontinued that for the fact that the caliber itself has definitely seen a big time decline just all over the board, but don't hold me to that. But we're gonna be breaking down the overview of this gun as well as some of the comparisons with the Gen 2. So let's get straight into it, man. First things first, you got a carrying case. Something that the Gen 2 didn't come with. It came just, straight out of the box. And the 45 ACP is the original caliber when it comes to the actual KRISS Vector itself. It has since though been brought out, of course, in 9mm and 10mm, which I think are fantastic rounds as well, but the 45 definitely packs a punch. Now, the actual case itself is a very soft case. It also comes with, of course, some cleaning kits, some lube, some locks, and a manual so that you can have everything all in there as well. And each of these will feature, of course, a KRISS Vector magazine. Depending on what state, you may have a 10 rounder, a 20 rounder, or I think all the way up to a 30 rounder for 45 ACP. I think with 9, you can potentially get up to, I think, 40 rounds. However, YouTube, this is an empty magazine. This is not a high caliber magazine. This is a YouTube compliant magazine, but we are letting people know what they can get up to. The initial thoughts and looks overall, the looks of itself, when you just look at it at a distance, it has a very similar, shape and design to that of the Gen 2. However, when you look more closely, you realize there is a good amount of upgrades and changes in ergonomics to the Gen 3 from the Gen 2. One in particular, we are featuring the SDP version, which is a pistol version. There is a rifle version that features the long 16-inch barrel with a shroud over it that kind of mimics that of a suppressor, but that gives you the 16 inches that is needed to have a stock on the gun. That one, and then you have, of course, the SDP, which we have here and have here as well, which comes with a brace. This one initially came with a brace that was like a SBA 1 brace. I have since had it, of course, changed out in SBR, and now we have it with a regular stock on the end, which maybe change that down the line as well. But this is foldable, but it did start off as a pistol, so keep that in mind. So this is the SDP version. That's how the Gen 2s came. It also came with a QD slot that you could have a sling on. Now, with the 3s, they swapped out that back portion and put a Picatinny portion on the back there, which you can now run with your 1913 Picatinny type of braces. One in particular is the Strike Industries. It's a very nice brace overall because it lines up well and it's actually not too big for you. I might need to slide this down a notch though, I ain't gonna lie. Let me slide it down 1 or 2 notches. So with that said, you got to keep in mind if you get something that's a little bit bigger as far as braces go, you might have some, overhanging going on. The Strike Industries brace works very, very well with it. But also if you end up if you SBR this down the road, they have a stock that can go on the Picatinny portion as well. That looks very similar to the actual stock that comes with the standard SBR Vector. So that's very dope as well, because with the previous version, there is not much that you can do with this part right here. As you can see, there's a tube right here, like a buffer tube, I think. And basically you got to put it's a buffer tube adapter on the back. So you have to run some sort of tube type of stock on the back to have it, have a stock or something of that matter with your, shouldering. KRISS Vector does sell a stock though for this that is foldable, but it doesn't look like the original KRISS Vector stock. So yeah, you have 45 ACP, up to 30 rounds, up to 40 on the 9mm. That's something there. There's no changes really in the magazine capacity, of course. Also, which is standard, but they did change them out, are the actual sights that come with the gun as well. Both the Gen 2 and Gen 3 feature these iron sights. Well, they're plastic, but backup sights, which are very, very nice. Now, I will say though, these are nice as well, but I kind of like these a little bit more, and they are slightly different. Now, I have the KRISS Vector here. We have some of our specs that we're gonna go over. I paired it up with this beautiful holographic sight. This is the EHS1 holographic sight from .USA, which we will be doing a review on very soon, but I'm gonna set it up to how I had it running. All right, guys, so we have it fully set up. This is how we were running it. We also shot it suppressed, and it was fabulous as well. Now, looking at some of the specs that I went over, it does come in 45 ACP, 9mm, 10mm, and they still have the 40 Smith & Wesson, so good news with that. This is, of course, a compact personal defense weapon, PCC also. Takes, of course, the Glock magazine. This one in particular, I believe is the Glock 21, right? I want to say, or any 45 Glock, but it, of course, has to be up to 17 rounds on here, or 13 rounds of 45, with the other version being the Glock 17 when you run something like the 9mm. Now, like all vectors, they feature Super V recoil mitigation system, which actually redirects the recoil downwards. So when you shoot the gun, the bolt actually drops down instead of going straight back into your shoulder. It drops down. And this is very, 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 very nice when it comes to shooting something like this in full auto. Unfortunately, this is a semi-automatic, but with the FRTs coming out the gate and being able to shoot this gun even a little bit more faster, which would not be full auto, but be, you know, a little bit faster, you might actually be able to actually feel that mitigation a little bit more. This is a closed bolt delayed blowback system, and the barrel on this is 5.5 inches. The barrel is 4041 chrome moly and is treated with a nitrate finish. It also features a nice skeletonized trigger, something different from the previous model, with a pre-travel of 0.7 millimeters. You also have an ambi on the safety and a full 19x13 top rail. You have a mag release on this side, but it actually is ambi as well, where you can switch it from here and put it right here as well if you want to. Now, I don't know if you can put 2 pairs on each side and run it that way, but I know you can switch it from here to here if need be. And this is a 4-pin toolless system where you can disassemble this just by popping out 4 pins. Now, for the length, it states for stocked versions that is 24.5 inches, of course with a 5.5-inch barrel, and the weight is 7 to 8 pounds. That, of course, is depending on the caliber that you end up going with, from 9mm all the way up to 45 ACP. Now, some of the new features out of the Gen 3 that may not be on the Gen 2 is the redesigned housing. New Vector logo that's featured here, improved ergonomics, better grip support, which also features you to utilize AR-15 grips if you want to on here. It's pretty dope. You can choose whatever you want now. Of course, the rear Picatinny end on the 1913, which I love a lot. You also now have a M-LOK handguard. On previous versions, like the Gen 2, you had these 2 little holes that you could buy little Picatinny slots to put on there, and you end up having the cheese graters going on, which, you know, to some people that's fine. To others, it may be a little bit annoying. I personally like the M-LOK because when I'm not using something, it's just smooth sailing. And I can still run a grip or anything else, but I don't have to worry about the cheese graters going on my hands. And it's actually just skinnier for the fact that it doesn't have any of those little screw holes right there that you gotta put your hands around. The skeletonized trigger takes off some weight. It also has a very nice crisp overall travel and brake. I do love the Gen 2's flat trigger, but the Gen 3 has a little bit more of a curve, a slight curve to it, but I like it a lot. Let's just check it out. All right, here, so you can see, obviously, you got a little bit of just mush, just freelance wall. Boom. Let's hear the reset. So, yeah, Gen 3, there's literally nothing there. Wall. I feel like it's a shorter overall pull. Reset. Nice. Also, something that I noticed off the rip is the actual charging handle itself. The overall travel felt shorter and easier. On the Gen 2, you of course got to pull it back, and right there, we're gonna close the bolt. I just felt it was way easier to actually actuate the bolt, and it just felt shorter. I don't know, maybe it's me. It definitely feels easier to charge the weapon on the Gen 3 compared to the Gen 2. And some of those upgrades fixed a lot of the problems on the Gen 2. One being for the fact that, you know, its pistol grip design, some people were not big fans of it. Now you can change that to whatever type of grip you like within the AR-15 platform. You have bulkier housing going on, bulkier controls, no M-LOK rails, everything's Picatinny, and a larger charging handle. Levers, and it's just less defined. But one thing that I was told that's kind of wild is that all the plastic on the Gen 2, so like a lot of this outer plastic pieces, you can actually get the housing of the Gen 3 on the Gen 2. Yes, you heard that correctly. I was told by some people that pretty much there will be shells, a Gen 3 shell that I guess you can crack open the Gen 2 and put this look. Like when you basically have a Gen 2 in hand, you can make it look like this. So you'll get the M-LOK handguard, you'll get all these nice refinements on a Gen 2, which is for the most part pretty solid. Now this is of course in 45 ACP. It does have the standard muzzle thread of a 45 ACP, which is what is like 5.7, what is it? 5.78 by 28. So just also keep that in mind. This is a fixed barrel system, so you don't need any type of booster or anything. Just straight up shoot it, sub gun, good to go. Great trigger, great accuracy, great recoil system, solid overall, just compact, nice to go. 45 ACP, you got that, you know, instant subsonicness to it. Hopefully that's a word. If not, it is what it is, but I'm having fun with this. Stay tuned because the full on in-depth review is coming soon on this bad boy, and we're gonna dive in even more on it. But just to give you guys some honest thoughts and opinions, it shot flawlessly. I didn't have any issues with it whatsoever. And you know, I love my Gen 2. I always wanted to get one in 45 ACP and in 10 millimeter as well. So I had the decision to get 10 or 45. I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and get the OG caliber, and then maybe we get the 10 next. But I mean, comparing this to some of my other guns in my PPC realm, you know, you got MP5s, you got MPXs, very, very solid, but this is still probably, it's just a super solid compact form. One of the things that everybody's gonna say is, man, you got the recoil system, it's just a waste though, because you can't shoot it fully out. Trust me, shooting it semi-automatic with that system, you still are gonna get some of the benefits of that redirection of the overall recoil mitigation. So I'm with it, I'm for it. I love the gun overall, and it takes Glock mags. You can't beat that. You just can't beat that. But if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below in the comment section. As always, I love y'all, I appreciate y'all, and I will see y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace.